Part 1. The Invisible Saboteur. Have you ever stood at the edge of a great decision, a new beginning, a promise you made to yourself? You can feel the energy coursing through you. The path is clear, your will is forged in iron, and for a moment, you are invincible. This time, you think, will be different. This time, you will not fail. And then, it happens. A strange inertia takes hold. The project that burned with such urgency is left to gather dust. The difficult, honest conversation you needed to have with someone you love is replaced by a sudden, sharp-edged anger over something trivial, a misplaced word that poisons the air. The vow to wake up early is broken by a leaden fatigue that feels more like a spiritual sickness than simple tiredness. It's as if a switch has been flipped deep within the control room of your soul, and an entirely different person has taken the helm. A person who doesn't seem to want you to succeed, a person who seems to delight quietly in your failure. You look at the landscape of your life and see the same patterns repeating, like echoes in a canyon. The same kind of relationship ending in the same kind of heartbreak. The same opportunity for growth met with the same paralyzing hesitation. The same peak of success just within your grasp before you find a way, any way, to slide back down to the familiar ground of mediocrity. You feel like a warrior in a lifelong battle, fighting with all your might. But you can never see your enemy. You swing your sword in the darkness, exhausting yourself, fighting shadows. You blame circumstances. You blame other people. You blame fate. But deep down, in the quietest hours of the night, a terrifying thought whispers, what if the walls of the prison are on the inside? What if the architect of your frustration is not the world, but a traitor within your own kingdom? What if I told you that this enemy you've been fighting has your face? What if I told you that the force working against your highest aspirations is you, not the you who's listening to this right now, not the conscious, striving you who dreams of a better life, who feels the sting of regret and the burn of ambition? No, another you, a hidden part, a disowned fragment of your own being operating in the shadows of your mind. Imagine a secret saboteur living inside of you, an invisible agent whose sole mission is to undermine everything you work so hard to build. It doesn't use brute force. It's far more subtle. It's the voice that whispers, "You can do it tomorrow." It's the sudden impulse that makes you check your phone when you should be focused. It's the inexplicable wave of resentment that floods you when a friend succeeds, a feeling you quickly hide, even from yourself. This saboteur is a master of disguise, an artist of self-deception. It knows your greatest fears, your deepest wounds, and your most fragile insecurities. And it uses them, not out of malice, but out of a twisted, misguided attempt to protect you from future pain by keeping you small, by keeping you safe in the prison of the familiar. It is the ghost in your own machine, systematically cutting wires, rerouting commands, ensuring that the grand vessel of your life runs forever in circles, never quite reaching the shore you can so clearly see. But this force, this shadow self, is not a monster to be slain. It is a part of you that has been misunderstood. It is a child locked in a basement, banging on the pipes, trying to get your attention in the only way it knows how. To continue fighting it is to continue fighting yourself. The only way to win this war is to turn and face your opponent, not with a sword, but with understanding. This invisible saboteur has a name, and to know its name is the first most powerful step toward taking back the controls. It's the first step to turning a saboteur into an ally and an inner traitor into a source of unimaginable strength. And that is the secret we are here to unlock. Part 2. Your enemy has a name. This invisible force, this secret saboteur we spoke of, is not a demon from a horror story or a ghost in the machine. It is a fundamental, predictable part of the human experience. It's so real and so powerful that one of the greatest minds to ever explore the inner world, the brilliant thinker Carl Jung, gave it a name. He called it the shadow. And the first, most profound thing you must understand is this: the shadow is not evil. It is you. Imagine that when you were born, you were a vast open territory, full of every possible human potential. But very early on, you learned that some parts of this territory were welcome and others were not. You were praised for being quiet, so your boldness was locked away. You were told to be selfless, so your ambition was deemed shameful. You were taught that good people are always calm and forgiving, so your righteous anger at injustice was buried alive. Every desire, every impulse, every talent that didn't fit the narrow mold of good, acceptable, or safe was systematically rounded up. Your fierce drive to compete, your raw, untamed creativity, your deep need for solitude, your vulnerability, which was mistaken for weakness, your desire for influence, which was labeled as a lust for power. Each of these vital living pieces of you was judged, condemned, and then exiled from the conscious kingdom of your personality. But here is the secret that no one ever tells you. You didn't destroy these parts of yourself. You can't. Energy is never destroyed. It is only transformed. You simply banished them. You pushed them down into the dark, silent basement of your soul, turned off the lights, and locked the door, hoping to never hear from them again. And from that darkness, from that forgotten cellar, these exiled parts of you are secretly running your life. Think of it this way. A child who is ignored doesn't cease to exist. They just learn to get attention in other ways, often by breaking things. In the same way, your exiled ambition doesn't vanish. It festers in the dark and transforms into a bitter, consuming envy of those who achieve what you secretly desire. That buried anger doesn't dissolve. It leaks out sideways as sharp, sarcastic comments, chronic irritability, or sudden, inexplicable rage at small things. The creative spirit you locked away because it wasn't practical now sabotages your disciplined, practical life with procrastination and a soul-crushing sense of boredom. These exiled parts are not your enemies. They are your own abandoned children, starving for light and recognition. They sabotage you not out of hatred, but as a desperate, chaotic cry for help. They are trying to tell you something vital, that you are not whole. They are banging on the pipes, causing floods and blackouts, because you have refused to go down into the basement and see what's there. To build a house only on the ground floor while ignoring the foundations is to build a life destined to collapse. The tragic irony is that the very things you were taught to fear and reject are the sources of your greatest potential power. That shameful ambition, once understood and guided by wisdom, becomes the engine for profound achievement. That unacceptable anger, once listened to, becomes a powerful moral compass, giving you the courage to fight for what is right and just. That weak vulnerability, once embraced, becomes the key to deep, authentic connection with others. But how, exactly? How does this exiled part of you, this shadow, hold so much power from its prison? It doesn't fight a conventional war. It wages its campaign from within. using your own mind against you. It has a strategy, an invisible art of war. Part 3. The Shadow's Three Poisons. So, how does this prisoner in the basement, this exiled shadow, actively ruin your life from the shadows? It doesn't wage a direct assault. Its methods are far more refined, more intimate. It is a master poisoner, and it has dipped 3 arrows in a potent venom brewed from your own fears and denials. These are the 3 arrows it fires into the heart of your relationships, your career, and your very peace of mind, ensuring you remain a stranger to your own potential. The first and most insidious of these poisons is projection. This is the art of seeing your own disowned soul in another person's face. Have you ever felt a surge of intense, almost irrational irritation toward someone? It's not just mild dislike. It's a deep, visceral reaction. That colleague who you label as insufferably arrogant, whose confidence makes your skin crawl, could it be that what you're really seeing is a reflection of your own healthy pride, a pride you were taught to crush and label as a sin? You were told to be humble, to stay small, and now, seeing someone else stand tall feels like a personal attack. That friend whose relaxed, lazy approach to life fills you with contempt. Is it possible their restfulness is a mirror to your own soul's desperate cry for stillness in a life you've turned into a prison of constant, anxious work? The shadow turns the world into a hall of distorted mirrors. It forces you to hunt down and attack your own exiled qualities in others, creating external enemies so you never have to face the war raging inside you. You exhaust yourself fighting ghosts, all while the real conflict remains untouched. The second poison is the slow, grinding work of self-sabotage. The shadow is born from the belief that parts of you are unworthy, and a part that feels fundamentally unworthy can never, ever allow you to truly succeed. It operates from a simple, terrified logic. If you succeed, the world will finally see you, and if they see you, they will see the unacceptable thing you've hidden. So just as you approach the finish line, it acts. You're on the verge of a promotion, and you inexplicably oversleep for the most important meeting of your career. You're finally in a healthy, loving relationship, and you orchestrate a catastrophic argument over something meaningless, pushing away the very love you crave. You feel a wave of creative inspiration, a calling to build something beautiful, and a voice whispers from the depths, "Who are you to create? What of value could possibly come from you?" This is the shadow hitting the emergency brake. Your success is a threat to its existence. It believes the familiar pain of your prison is safer than the terrifying freedom of the open sky. And the third poison, the most devastating of all, is the uncontrolled eruption. All that anger you swallowed, all that grief you never processed, all the envy you pretended not to feel, it doesn't vanish. It accumulates. It builds pressure in the boiler room of your soul, silently, day after day. You think you're in control. You think you buried it for good. And then, one ordinary Tuesday, a small thing happens. Your child spills a glass of milk. Your partner asks an innocent question, and the boiler explodes. A torrent of white-hot rage, years in the making, erupts from you. You say things that can never be unsaid, things that shatter years of trust in a single, terrifying moment. In the deafening silence that follows, you stand there, shaking, looking at the wreckage and the fear in your loved one's eyes, and you think, that wasn't me, but it was. It was your shadow, starved for so long, finally breaking out of its cage, not to be heard, but to scream. The pain of this is undeniable. The destruction is real. You see the pattern of broken relationships, stalled careers, and a soul aching with a sorrow it cannot name. So what is the solution? The modern world offers a simple, seductive answer. An answer you see everywhere, promoted by gurus and self-help experts. It's an answer that feels liberating, empowering, and profoundly intuitive. But it is one of the most dangerous spiritual traps of our time. And following this popular advice is like trying to extinguish a fire with gasoline. Part 4. The False Path. The Dangerous Trap of Acceptance. So, you've seen the enemy. You've felt the sting of its poisons. You stand amidst the ruins of its sabotage, and you ask the vital question, what now? And from every corner of the modern world, from every self-help book and every viral video, a single seductive answer echoes back. A command dressed in the language of enlightenment. Accept your shadow. Love your dark side. You must integrate it. It sounds so wise, doesn't it? So healing. It feels like a breath of fresh air after a lifetime of fighting yourself. Finally, permission to stop the war. Permission to be whole. But this is where the path forks. And one road leads to liberation, while the other, paved with good intentions, leads straight into the heart of a gilded cage. For this popular advice, as it is commonly understood, is one of the most profound and dangerous spiritual traps of our time. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. What does this acceptance truly mean in the world you actually live in? What does it mean to accept your envy? Does it mean you should start celebrating the bitter acid that churns in your gut when a friend succeeds? Should you embrace it, nurture it, and let it poison your every relationship? What does it mean to accept your rage? Does it mean you should give yourself a free pass to unleash the screaming hurricane that lives within you, to shatter the trust of those you love because you've decided your anger has a right to be honored? And what does it mean to accept your sloth? Should you let it steal your mornings, dissolve your ambitions in a fog of comfort, and turn your life into a perpetual waiting for a right moment that never comes? To transform potential into a monument of inaction? What does it mean to accept your greed, your lust? To simply let every hungry ghost, every fleeting impulse steer the ship of your life, chasing whatever empty pleasure glitters on the horizon? This is not a path to wholeness. This is the path of abdication. It is the gospel of indulgence, a blueprint for moral decay disguised in the comforting language of therapy. It's the act of looking at the saboteur in your basement, the one who has been methodically ruining your life, and not just unlocking the door, but handing him the keys to the entire house and the title deed to your soul. It is to say to the most wounded, chaotic, and short-sighted part of yourself, you were right all along. Your darkness is just as valid as my light. Come, sit on the throne. You are in charge now. This is not integration. This is unconditional surrender. It is capitulation. We were not created for this. We were not designed to be passive observers of our own inner chaos. The human soul is not a democracy where every impulse gets an equal vote. It is a kingdom, and it requires a wise and just ruler on the throne. To simply accept the shadow in this way is to allow a tyrant to seize power, a tyrant whose only goal is the immediate gratification of its own broken desires, no matter the long-term cost to the kingdom and everyone in it. It feels like freedom for a moment, the way a falling man feels weightless just before he hits the ground. But it is the ultimate slavery. Slavery to the least developed, least wise part of your own being. If this popular easy path is a lie, if it's a trap designed to make us comfortable in our own prisons, then what is the true path? What is the real work? The difficult, honest, and courageous work that actually leads to freedom. It is not a work of passive acceptance. Part 5. The True Path. The Alchemy of Transformation. The easy path of acceptance is a dead end, a comfortable lie that keeps your soul in chains. So, what is the real work? What is the true path? It is not the passive surrender of a collaborator. It is the courageous journey of a warrior. It is not acceptance. It is transformation. This path is not for the faint of heart, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom, and it is built upon 3 sacred, unwavering steps. The first step is illuminate, don't ignore. You must stop pretending the basement doesn't exist. You must take the lantern of your conscious attention, the one thing you truly control, and have the raw courage to descend those dark stairs. This is not a journey of judgment. You are not going down there with a sword to slay monsters. You're going as an explorer, a cartographer of your own soul. The task is to look at what you find there without flinching and simply name it. To say quietly and honestly to yourself, yes, there is envy in me. It is a cold, coiling thing, and I feel it when I see another succeed where I have failed. To admit, yes, there is a deep well of rage in me. I have plastered over it with a smile, but it is there, simmering. To acknowledge, yes, there is arrogance here, a secret belief that I am better than others, a pride that keeps me isolated and alone. You are bringing these things into the light, not to celebrate them, not to honor them, but because darkness cannot survive inspection. Secrets derive their power from being kept. The moment you name your poison, you begin to neutralize it. This is the first, terrifying and liberating act of power. The second step is understand the root. Don't indulge the fruit. Now that you see the poison, the temptation is to either judge it or act on it. The true path asks for something far more profound. It asks you to become a detective of your own heart. It asks you to ask one of the most powerful questions in the universe. Why? Don't just feel the envy, investigate it. Why does this person's success feel like a physical wound? Is it because their achievement is a painful mirror to your own neglected potential? Does it scream at you about the book you never wrote, the business you never started, the life you were too afraid to live? That envy, when you look beneath its ugly surface, is not just a sin. It is a map pointing directly to your own deepest betrayed desires. Don't just feel the rage, listen to its story. Why this uncontrollable anger? Perhaps it's the distorted echo of a real, profound injustice you suffered long ago, a wound that has never healed. Perhaps it is your soul's righteous, God-given sense of justice, crying out against a world that is not as it should be. The shadow, in its pain, shows you exactly where your soul is broken. It is a divine diagnostic tool, revealing the precise location of the wound that needs your healing attention. This leads to the third and most vital step. Redirect the energy. Don't act on the impulse. This is the heart of the great work. Energy is never destroyed. That is a law of the universe. The volcanic energy behind your rage, the sharp, obsessive energy of your envy, the grasping energy of your greed, it is all just that, pure, raw energy. The path of destruction is to simply act from the impulse, to let the envy curdle into bitter gossip, to let the rage explode and shatter a relationship. The path of transformation is to become a spiritual alchemist. You must learn to take that raw, chaotic energy and channel it. You do not act from envy, but you can seize its powerful current and redirect it into the ferocious, disciplined work required to achieve your own goals with honor. You do not surrender to rage, but you can harness its fire to fuel a tireless, constructive fight against the real injustices in your community and in the world. You learn to take the very force that was meant to destroy you and make it your servant. This is not about killing the dragon within you. You tried that. It's called repression, and it only makes the dragon stronger in the dark. This is about taming the dragon. It is about learning to ride it. It is about taking its magnificent, terrifying fire and using it to light the way forward, to forge a better world, and to cauterize your own deepest wounds. This is the secret of true spiritual alchemy, not denying the existence of lead, but having the wisdom, courage, and grace to transform the lead of your flaws into the gold of true, unshakable character. And this sacred work, this courageous descent and radical transformation, brings you face to face with the ultimate, defining choice of your life. Part 6. The final choice, wholeness or ruin. And so you stand at the crossroads. Every path you've walked, every pattern you've repeated, every quiet moment of frustration has led you to this single defining choice. It is the most important decision of your life because it is a decision about what your life will ultimately mean. Before you lie 3 paths, you can only walk one. The first is the path of the sleepwalker. It is the widest, most well-trodden road. On this path, you do nothing. You change nothing. You continue to pretend the basement does not exist, even as the foundations of your house continue to crack. You allow the invisible saboteur to remain invisible, to continue its silent, methodical work of dismantling your relationships, your potential, and your peace, peace by agonizing peace. You will live as a stranger in your own home, a puppet pulled by strings you refuse to see, and you will arrive at the end of your days wondering why your life felt like a ghost story, a haunting of what could have been. The second path is the one lit by the bright, fashionable lights of the modern world. This is the path of so-called acceptance, the comfortable trap we spoke of. On this path, you don't just ignore the saboteur, you invite him upstairs. You give him the seat of honor at your table. You call his chaos authenticity. You call his envy your truth. You call his rage a valid expression of feeling. You celebrate your chains, believing it is a form of freedom. This path offers the illusion of progress without the pain of actual change. It is a moral anesthetic. It allows the most wounded, childish, and selfish part of you to seize the throne of your soul, and under its reign, your kingdom will inevitably fall into ruin, all while you tell yourself you are being brave and enlightened. It is the fastest road to becoming a slave who believes he is a king. Then there is the third path. It is the narrowest, the steepest. It is shrouded in mist, and it demands everything from you. It is the path of the spiritual warrior, the path of the alchemist. It is the path of courage and profound responsibility. On this path, you understand that your inner darkness is not a thing to be ignored, nor is it a thing to be celebrated. It is a force to be reckoned with, understood, and ultimately mastered. On this path, you do not slay your dragons, for you know their fire is the very source of your passion and your strength. Nor do you become their slave, allowing them to burn your world to the ground, On this path, you learn to ride them. You learn to harness their immense chaotic power and direct it towards a higher purpose, towards creation, not destruction, towards discipline, not indulgence, towards serving the world, not just satisfying your own fleeting appetites. You take the very energy that was meant to be your ruin and you make it the engine of your redemption. You must understand this work, this sacred alchemy of the soul, is not a casual psychological exercise. It is not a life hack to make you more productive.